Hi guys, welcome back to my podcast. I am Dawn, I'm a doctor, and I'm still currently going through an episode of burnout. Why does it keep happening? Well, I'm going to tell you why. And the thing is, you are probably burnt out. Maybe you're not, but you probably suffered from burnout in the past and not realised it or not done anything about it. And there is a very easy explanation for that. Today we're talking about burnout versus depression because I think it's a very important distinction to make. Causes of burnout, how to get over burnout, and how to stop it from happening in the future. If you're new here, by the way, we discuss all things positive, lifestyle, happiness, the good stuff. Get your daily dose of positivity rather than scrolling and listening to shit. Scrolling on social media, looking at news that just makes you miserable. Come and join me instead. We have a good time. And sometimes we have guests, and that's an even better time. Anyway, so I guess I better tell you about my little story with burnout, because I don't look burnt out, do I? But look, I know when I'm burnt out. It takes me a while to realise it, probably a couple of weeks. But I do notice it eventually. And that's because I think it's quite insidious. It's not something that hits you bam, oh yeah, I'm burnt out now. It's like a progression over time, and eventually you reach a literal breaking point. And I actually published a video on my YouTube channel yesterday, which was about changing my uploading schedule, because the reason why I'm burnt out, I am not currently working as a doctor. So you might go, well, Dawn, how are you burnt out then? Because you can't be burnt out. You're unemployed. Well, the thing is, I want to make YouTube my job, I guess. Or less of a side hustle and more of a main hustle. So, as a result, I've been putting so much energy into it. And because I'm not employed, I've been cutting down my costs. I used to have an editor and somebody who uploaded everything for me. It was pretty good, it was still a lot of work, but it took all that kind of admin off me. Now, to try and save some money, I was like, guys, I can't pay you anymore, so we're gonna have to stop. So as a result, I've been doing it all myself. I've been trying to get all the shorts made. I've been trying to podcast. I started 3 times a week. I couldn't do it. Twice a week is good enough for me. And I've been uploading every day for over 2 months. I think it's been 70 days. I missed a couple because I was dead and I was just too tired. I was like, I can't, and I couldn't admit it. But the thing is, it's less of being tired. It's more of just I'm done. I don't want to do this. And that, anyway, I will talk about the symptoms of burnout in a minute. But so I was uploading every day, and I couldn't do it anymore. But that's not the only time I've been burnt out. The other times I've been burnt out have been because of work, just trying to juggle doing YouTube outside and also doing work, and also having a blog and having a business and whatever. Basically, I just give myself too much to do. I don't know why I can't stop. I think it's because I have this desire to just set my life up. And I feel like I'm always starting from a financial disadvantage, and I'm trying to get out of that. I'm trying to build a foundation that I can live off of for a long time and not feel the need to rely on, oh my god, I have to go into work today because otherwise I won't have enough money to pay the bills. Now, what you might call that is passive income. It's anything but passive. Let's put it that way. At the start, it is extremely hard work and you do it all for nothing. The hope is, though, that you build a kind of repertoire, if that's the right word, and over time, that stuff makes money for you in the long run. It's not a here and now, you go to work and you go, okay, I get paid £20 an hour. I get that money next week. Done. No, this is a long-term investment. You put in the work now, And in 5 years, maybe a year, depending on how long it takes, the hope is that it builds, it gives you money just trickling in the background. And sometimes people, make a business off of it. I'm seeing where that goes. My YouTube channel is doing well. My podcast, thank you for all of the listeners. Like, honestly, I really appreciate it. Is doing well as people, find it, and it's doing more episodes, and Spotify's like, oh, do you want to watch this? And people are like, oh yeah, I haven't seen that before. But it takes time, and a lot of people don't want to put that effort in, and that is understandable because it is hard work and you get no benefit from it. No instant gratification, which is what we're all kind of, we all love. So anyway, that's how I get burnout. I juggle too many plates on a little stick, or whatever you call it. I'm just trying, if I just did one thing, I wouldn't get burnt out, because there's a lot of processes in place at the moment to stop doctors from getting burnt out, because they know it's a common thing. Doctors get burnt out all the time because, well, it's just a very emotionally charged job. It's very busy, there's a lot to do, there's always more to do. People are always vying for your attention, and anyway, we all know that being a doctor is hard, but what I do is I take it to the next level. And people go, Dawn, how are you doing this? And I'm like, don't know, just I have a kind of passion inside of me. I like doing it, which helps. You have to like doing all of these side things, but also I'm like seeing it as a bigger goal. But anyway, for me, and for many people, in fact, I think burnout is characterized as 3 things. Sorry for that noise, I might take that out. So it's basically, let me refresh my memory. Burnout is characterized as a feeling of emptiness, being mentally and physically exhausted, no motivation, and beyond caring. But I think there's actually proper, there's 3 things on this. Here we go. Exhaustion, alienation from work, or just activities from work-related activities, reduced performance. So for me, the exhaustion comes first. I am thoroughly exhausted. I may not look it, but I am. I'm just exhausted. I don't want to do anything. And I get to this stage where even lying down, and I know that sounds really dramatic, but lying down, I'm like, I don't want to do this. Even this is too much, everything feels too much. Everything. The only thing that feels good is okay, I'll go to sleep. And that's it. And at the moment, I feel exhausted, and I start to question, I'm like, am I depressed? Do I have some kind of chronic fatigue situation going on? And I'm the kind of person that, because I'm always doing something, I don't want to have those issues. I mean, who does? So, I mean, some people do, but that is a story for another day. So, yeah, I feel exhausted right now. Doing this, I was like, this is a perfectly apt episode to do, because it's I am currently burnt out. I went to the gym once this week, I think, and I am still tired. And I know that this is burnout because when I take a rest, it recovers. Okay, so this is the difference between... Actually, no, I feel like I still haven't fully done signs and symptoms. So you go into work every day, and to me, this is the perfect analogy. You feel like you're running on a treadmill, or on a hamster wheel, whatever you want to call it, you feel like you're kind of, but you're like, you're not keeping up. You're like, oh, and it's like your mind is constantly like, when can I get off this? When can I get off? I'm too tired. I don't want to carry on, but it keeps spinning and you don't feel like you can just get off because you'll like miss something or, and I guess, taking away from the analogy now, it's like, oh, well, my colleagues will think I'm lazy, or I'll fall behind, or I won't get that work done, and then I'll have, oh my god, I have loads of emails like in my email inbox, and or they might fire me. Anyway, all of this like thought goes through your head, like I'm gonna fail, I'm a failure, why can't I do it? Everyone else is doing it. But they don't have the same life as you. You have to think, burnout is not just a work-related thing. You have to live as a human as well. And yeah, fair enough. If you've got like a maid or something, someone's going to take all of that pressure off for you. If you have the money to delegate, burnout is going to be less easy to get to. However, I say that cautiously, because even when you delegate stuff, you make more room for doing other things. And then you go, okay, well, somebody's doing my cleaning now, so I'll spend an extra hour or two a day like doing more work. You don't go, okay, I'm going to take that hour or two a day of like human activities, that if somebody cleans for you, if somebody cooks for you, you don't go, I'm going to take that time and do it for something good, use it for something good, I'm going to just do more work. Instead, what you should really do is use that opportunity to go, okay, now I'm going to go and play some sports or do something like that. So that is my analogy of burnout. And I described it before. I think it's like this feeling of, I remember saying like, I don't want to be alive, but I was like, I don't want to be dead. And then I was like, okay, maybe I just want to be asleep. And it's like this feeling of like, you just don't want to, you just know, like everything is too much for you. You are struggling with even just existing. Even watching TV might become a chore. You're like, oh God, I can't, please. So right now, I quite happily go back to bed, but I am taking this weekend and maybe even next week to not think about YouTube. I know I'm videoing right now, but this is for Monday. So, and I've got people coming this weekend, so I just wanted to like get this done, and then that's sorted, because they're going to be in this room until Monday and the podcast needs to be out on Monday. So I thought, come on, let's get on top of things. So, and the YouTube upload cycle of uploading every day plus shorts plus 2 podcasts a week, that, you finished one and you're like, oh my God, now I've got to move to the next one, and you're constantly falling behind. You constantly feel like you're going to fall off that treadmill. And it's the same with work. You're like, you finish one day, you're like, oh my God, I got through the day, thank God. Because I know a lot of you won't relate to YouTube burnout. So, I can talk about work as well. And a lot of burnout does come from work, because that is where we spend a lot of our time. So you go, oh my God, I've just finished like the week or the day, and you go, oh no, now I've got to do tomorrow as well. And then you kind of feel like, oh God. And it's like this like, oh, I've got to get back on that hamster wheel. And you feel like rest at home is just not enough. You're like, I rested for 8 hours, not enough for me. I need more. And something I also notice when I'm burnt out is that everything in my human life, I call it my human life because it's like, right, human life is like washing, dressing, eating. What else do you do in human life? Going to the toilet, doing your chores, your household chores. Those are human things that you have to do. Like, you can't not do them. I mean, you could. There are some things that you could not do. You could not clean, but most people do. So I'm going to call them your human. What did I call them? Your human life. Anyway, things from your human life get neglected, and it's not just reduced performance at work, it's reduced performance in human life too. The house was a mess. I couldn't even be bothered to shower. I was like, nah, CBA. Can't be bothered to just do anything. I'm just like, oh God. Even like the thought of going to the gym was exhausting. And when I say the thought, yes, not the act of going to the gym. That was like a no-go. It was like, nah, it's just not happening. I'm dead. I'm dead. So the other thing that happens when you're burnt out is you start to hate everything. And you're very negative, you're very cynical, you hate everything. And you're like, oh God. And you might blame it on yourself, but you might also blame it on your work. Be like, why are they doing this? The job is so shit. I hate my job. And now I guess we move on to burnout versus depression versus stress. Burnout and depression are so similar. And that's why I was kind of like, do I have chronic fatigue or like, oh my God. Okay. Ladybirds can fly by some miracle of nature. There's a ladybird in here, and it was just flying around being an absolute nutter, and that scared me. Oh, now I'm really freaked out. I don't like things that fly erratically. Bird flies in a straight line. Ladybird flies like this. Oh my God, that was so scary. Okay, it seems to be stationary for now. Oh my God, okay. So, what was I even saying? Oh yeah, burnout versus depression. The thing is with burnout is the symptoms are so similar to depression. And you think, am I depressed? Do I just hate life? Now, I've been depressed and I've been burnt out, so I'm like the perfect person to tell you the difference. Burnout, you recover, you rest, maybe for a week, I don't know, however long it takes, and you go, okay, yeah, I'm back to normal, I'm fine, I enjoy life again. For me, it only takes usually like maximum 3 days if I like properly stop. But you stop and you recover and you go, oh yeah, I'm back to normal now. Depression doesn't happen. You could stop doing everything forever and you would still be depressed. Now, the thing is with depression is with burnout, you don't tend to get suicidal thoughts. You don't tend to go, I'm going to end it all. I mean, you know what suicidal thoughts are. Whereas with burnout, you don't. Wait, what did I just say? With depression, you do get suicidal thoughts. With burnout, you don't tend to. I think the main difference is just that the recovery time. Like, if you're burnt out, recover when you stop doing all the stuff that's burning you out. Now, I have also felt stressed, and I see this as kind of a different thing to burnout. Stress can give you burnout, but stress is like your mind is like, and you're just on edge, and you have the kind of energy to do it, but you're so stressed that you kind of like, you're so panicked that you don't know what to do first, you don't know how to do it, you're like, and it always feels so overwhelming. I have taken time off for stress. I don't think I was burnt out at that time. I think I was just overwhelmed because I was on such a busy medical job and I was on a stroke job. It was so busy. Like, there's always new people coming in. Everyone's having strokes. Aging population probs. And yeah, it's just like, it was so hectic every day. There's 4 junior doctors on one 30-bedded ward. That is a lot of doctors. Like, sometimes as a ward you have 1 doctor for 30 patients. Like, that's not good, but maybe you have 2 per 30. But 4 and a consultant, pretty much they're like doing 2 ward rounds a day. Like, it is intense. And then you have a stroke nurse who like that brings all the new patients in. It's like such a high turnover. It's insane, and it's such a busy ward. Oh my god. The Ladybird has mobilised. I don't know where it's gone. Okay, so again, the same for burnout is stress can go when you take time off. Now, stress and anxiety, I think anxiety won't just disappear when you stop doing said thing. It usually sort of lingers in the background. So that's the difference between all of those. I read an article that said that it's affecting women way more than men, and that has doubled, the gap has doubled over like the last few decades or whatever. And it's very interesting actually, because the reason why it affects women more and it affects young people more. Number one, women are in this day and age expected, or they expect of themselves also, to work and be primary caregiver to children and probably their husband or partner, because sometimes men need looking after, and hold the family together, do a lot of the chores. And there was also an interesting thing that was like, women are much less likely to get promoted, so feel less fulfilled from their job, also earn less because they don't get promoted as much, because they might take time out of work, or they might work less than full time. And obviously back in, I don't know, maybe 50 years ago, or maybe longer, women didn't work really, and they looked after the children, and they were housewives. I'm not saying either is good, I'm just saying we are still expecting to be at that housewife level, but also go to work for 40 hours a week. Like, it is crazy. And young people, so I am technically in the young person bracket still, so millennials and Gen Z, under 30s basically, we are the most likely to get laid off. We're the most likely to do menial jobs because we're lower in the kind of age rank. And we're still figuring out our world. We're still figuring out our careers. We're still working on our careers, because now you have to have an absolutely sick education to get anywhere in life, it feels like. And that's the expectation, and the rule, actually. I was going to say not the rule, but it's both. And so we're coming out of education into a very turbulent world, which is like, ooh, recession, and like, ooh, housing crisis, and you have to pay £2,000 a month for rent to live anywhere that has a job, and everything's expensive. You basically need an iPhone to exist in this world, or a smartphone. Like, yes, you can do it without, but everyone expects a reply from you. Everyone expects... It's so funny that, like, the people that complain to me the most about me not replying are boomer-aged people, and I'm like, ironically, you're the one that complains about us being on our phones, yet I'm trying not to be on my phone and you're complaining that I'm not replying. Like, it's just so ironic. And I could definitely do a week without a smartphone. I could do longer, but there is an expectation that I check my emails. There's an expectation that people need to get hold of me. There's an expectation that people want to text me and I reply within the same day. And often I don't, because I'm like, I've got too many messages. I've got too much going on. Too many things like wanting my attention. So I can't even remember how I got into boomers, but because we have more subscriptions. You could argue we don't need these subscriptions, but it's kind of, some of them we kind of do. Or, you know, we have to pay for things that are at our standard of living. Like, yeah, you could argue that I don't need a Netflix subscription or a Spotify subscription, and I could just listen to the radio, which I definitely could. Yeah, I get that. I also, some of it is like, I don't want to listen to adverts, and I don't want to pay a TV license. So, yeah, that's kind of it as well. So, okay, causes of burnout. Most people's triggers are just going to be being overworked at work. And why are we overworked at work? Because everybody wants productivity, hustle culture. Everybody wants you to be working harder, working efficiently, and producing more. Well, I'm telling you guys, you will produce more if you work less. Do companies think that? Not yet. Are companies realising that? Yes, they are. A lot of people are thinking, oh yeah, 4-day work week. Less hours, same output, same money. What a novel idea. I mean, it is a novel idea because it's new. That's what novel means. So, yeah, there are people that are, and a lot of them are private companies, because a lot of public companies don't look after their staff, let's be honest. They just don't, especially in this country. It might be different in other countries, but they don't look after their staff. They see productivity as time worked, not output given. And people struggle with the demands of life and the hours that are expected of us. I think identifying your triggers it's obviously super important, but I think I'm quite bad at doing it. I think it can be really hard to notice it and go, this is going to burn me out, because it's so insidious. It literally just creeps up on you and you go, oh God, I feel like death. I feel maybe I am dead. So I think it's just like, how much are you really doing in 1 week? How much are you resting? I think really looking at that and going, am I doing the things that I love? No, then I will get burnt out. Like, that is, if your whole week is filled with pressure and not necessarily things that you don't love, like you might like your work, but too much of anything is a bad thing. So I think you really need to recognize it for yourself. Most of the time it's just too many hours of something and not enough hours of another thing, which is like recuperation, rest, things that you enjoy. What do you enjoy? I quite like going to play tennis. I like going to the gym. I like to go swimming. I like to go to improv. I like to, see my friends. Have I been doing that? No, of course I haven't, because I've been too tired. So there are also negative things to being burnt out. Like, you are more likely to develop depression. It's not just a quick like, oh yeah, I'm done, I'm over my burnout. Well, it can be, but the more you do it, the more likely, potentially, especially if you have a predisposition to depression anyway, or kind of a negative thought process in your mind, then you're probably more likely to develop depression long term. I think there is a way to overcome burnout. Burnout, you need to go through it a few times, okay? You need to ride that wave and go, oh yeah, okay, I shouldn't do that again. And you need to think, what did I do wrong? I could sit here and tell you what I do, if you want. Okay, fine, I'll tell you. So I recognise that I'm burnt out. I stop and I go, oh God, okay, I need to recover. I'm just going to stop all activities that are burning me out, i.e. uploading to YouTube every day, videoing every day, editing every day. And maybe that's just reducing your hours at work. If, it's the same thing. I'm reducing my hours at work in inverted commas. And then I'm going, okay, I now need time to recover. That might take a few days. Then I can start bringing in things I actually do love. Bringing back in the things that I've put to the side because I haven't had time to do them. So I might book a gym class. I might go out for brunch with my friend and not film it. I might read a book. I might listen to a podcast. I might do the washing up. Wow, what a bloody novel idea. And then you start to reincorporate work back in. But you go, no, okay, every day I need to do something that I enjoy. I need to stop work at this time. And whether that means you need to get up earlier or reimagine your expectations, then I'm sorry, that's what you need to do. So, will you slip back into those bad habits? Probably, yeah. But it doesn't mean that you can't stop yourself earlier and earlier every time and stop yourself from getting to that point where you're like, I can't do it anymore, please, I just want to sleep for an eternity. And if it keeps happening because of your work and you have some autonomy over your work, you could reduce your hours, or you could speak to your manager or whoever owns you at work or whatever and go, look, I just can't do this anymore. I am so exhausted. And you're not going to be the first person that said it. You might feel like a failure. Of course you will. That doesn't mean you are one. And if your work aren't willing to compromise on that, then fuck them. Find a new job. Like, we don't need to be a martyr for a job that doesn't appreciate us. That is something that I've learned over the last few years. If you're not enjoying your job, fuck it. You might need to ride it out until you get a new one. Like, fair enough. But start looking. Because it takes a long time. I know from current experience that trying to get a new job is taking a couple of months. So, I just always think, like, your life is for you to live, not for somebody to dictate the way you are living with your work, I mean. And yeah, fair enough, we need to be flexible in some way, but I think, what's the point if you're not enjoying it? Why are you doing it? Like, I understand we need to do some things that we don't enjoy. Do I do things that I don't enjoy? Yes. But do I try to mitigate those things by, where I can, going, no, I just don't want to do that? Yes. it is a bit of a balancing game. You need to work out where that kind of threshold is to be like, I am standing up for myself, but also making compromises so that I can actually like live. I do think, like, why do we just don't look after ourselves? Like, we see ourselves as a commodity, but we're not. We are the only thing that is happening in our lives. We only get one life. I know it's fucking cliche to say that. I know. But we do. And you keep thinking, okay, I'm just going to get over this next milestone. No. Life keeps fucking spinning. And if you don't stop and say, I need to like reevaluate my situation, it will keep spinning you and spinning you and spinning you. It will keep pumping more and more out of you. Like, you can't just expect it to slow down when you reach you're like, okay, I've finished that now. Okay, fair enough. There are things that you will finish an exam. But then there's the next thing and the next thing. It's like you can't keep reaching a hurdle and going, oh God, thank God I got over that. And then going, okay, now the next one. No, it's a constant. Life is a constant line, and, well, not a straight line, but let's say it's a constant line, and you can't keep going, oh God, okay, I got to that. Oh God, okay, I got to that. You need to think, it's a marathon, okay? And what am I going to do in between all of those hurdles to make it feel less fucking awful? Well, I need to sleep properly. I need to do things that I enjoy. I need to see my friends. I need to slow down. I need to cut something out of my life that is not important, that doesn't make me feel good, that actually makes me feel worse or waste my time, so that I can live this marathon of a life. Although a lot of people say life's short. Well, okay, yeah, it is in the grand scheme of things, but also it's quite long. Like, we could live for 100 years. That's a very long time. And you might live significantly less long if you keep getting burnt out. Who knows? I think we are the first. We're not the first. Okay, so burnout was coined in the 1970s, so it's been like a relatively recent thing. And that is Industrial Revolution, Technological Revolution, hustle culture, productivity, and that is why I do not agree with productivity. I agree with being efficient. I agree with being productive in short bursts. Like, I love, when you get into that workflow and you're like, yeah, no one can disturb me now. But do I think I need to live my life in the most productive way possible all the time? No, I don't think that. I think it would be nice to do things efficiently, but my life does not revolve around being productive. And also, I am the kind of person that my life has revolved around a lot of other people, and now I am reaching an age where I'm like, no, my life revolves around me. It's selfish. It sounds selfish. Of course it does. It's a hard thing to come to terms with, and I feel like your 20s and your teens, oh my God, are they the most stressful, turbulent time of your life. Like, I feel like it's only going to go up from here. You know, they say life begins at 40. That's because you spend your 20s figuring it out. Somebody said this is a quote from somebody. Maybe it was Casey Neistat, or he quoted somebody else. You spend your 20s figuring it out. You spend your 30s practicing it, and you spend your 40s enjoying it. I think that was it. Such a good quote, because everybody thinks, oh yeah, I'm like nearly 30 now. I know life. I feel like you don't figure out life until you get past 30. I only just feel like I'm figuring out what I'm like doing. And everybody goes, oh yeah, I'm 21. I'm actually not that much younger than you. You're only 28. Like, you're what, like 7 years older than me? That is a lot. That is nearly a whole decade. And in any circumstance in life, that is a lot of time. So to think that we are in the same decade, but we are the same, is a falsity. Is that a word? I don't know. It's not realistic. Like, if you can't say that because I'm 28 and or let's say I'm 30 and somebody is 38, we are in completely different parts of life. Like, we might be in the same decade of our life, but we are definitely not the same. Like, you as a 38-year-old have figured out life more than I have, and that is why old people don't give a fuck most of the time. They do not give a fuck. They are living their life. They're like, they've sorted life. They figured it out. They're like, yeah, they're comfortable with themselves. They get naked in the gym changing rooms. They do not care when they go to the doctors. They're like, here you go, doctor, wee! And they just don't care. And that is the only... Sometimes some people get to that earlier than when you're 80. But some people get to that when they're younger. I don't feel like I'm like 80-year-old level of like, wee! But I definitely feel like I am. I think it's, I definitely feel like I'm getting there because of, podcasting, YouTubing, a lot of introspection. Oh boy, I've had a counsellor for a long time. I constantly want to like improve myself. I constantly want to like help other people improve themselves. I'm constantly like evaluating myself and being like, how can I be a better person? How can I help other people live a better life? And that is kind of why I do the podcast and the YouTube as well. But yeah, talking out loud about your problems, journaling. I journal every day, and they all help. They will help you get there sooner. But some people, when they're 80, they do not care. They don't care what people think about them because they realise life is too short and it doesn't actually matter. I can't even remember what happened there, but that was just like a rambling of life. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this burnout video podcast, even if you're listening on the podcast. Thank you so much to my return listeners and return viewers. Like, honestly, I wish you could feel like the like happy tightness in my chest. Like, it's like a good tightness feeling, like not like heart attack feeling. I'm like, oh, it's like a real like that I feel like I've got people that are like coming on board and like coming along the journey with me, and people actually want to listen to me twice a week. Like, wow. So honestly, like, I think it's so nice. It would be really great if you guys could review. If you are regular listeners, that would be super helpful. And yeah, I just honestly, like, I can't thank you guys enough for listening every week. And I can obviously see it on the stats, so I know there are people listening every week, and it's, from the same place, so I assume you're the same person. And yeah, I just think it's amazing. So thank you so much, and I look forward to speaking to you in a couple of days. Bye.